Chair recognizes Representative Canales on a matter of personal privilege.
Mr. Speaker, members, I've never given a personal privilege speech on this floor, and I don't take the fact that I rise to do so lightly. But I rise today to cast light on what I call a public villain, someone who dwells in the shadows of corporate greed and would blind the public from its fundamental right to know. During the interim, McAllen, Texas, held a holiday parade and a concert. And from that concert ensued a controversy which would ripple across our state and make national news. The issue was transparency. The public's right to know how their government spends their tax dollars. The public's tax dollars. The city of McAllen had spent and lost hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars on a concert. A concert. Local news outlets such as the McAllen Monitor requested documents and contracts to try to confirm what we knew. They appealed that request to the Attorney General and citing a language from a Boeing case from the Texas Supreme Court stating that the information was competitive, would put them at a competitive disadvantage. The public was outraged. I was outraged, and rightfully so. How could a city or any local state government hide how much they had paid for a concert? For government exists by and for the people. Chapter 552 of our code, our government code states that government is the servant of the people and not the other way around. To this day, almost a year and a half later, we don't have any idea how much that municipality spent, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars were lost to artist Enrique Iglesias, or whatever his name is. In response to this egregious violation of the public's right to know and how government spends its tax dollars, I filed HB 349. My bill merely said that when the public expends funds on parades, concerts, it has to be privy to open records. The bill was voted unanimously out of the Transparency Committee, unanimously out of the Senate Transparency Committee. We're across the desk of a senator who we later learned had bigger plans for my bill, who dwells in the darkest parts of corporate conspiracy. They didn't want my bill because it was an attack on the precious Boeing ruling. It was a nick. It was a chink in the armor on how government spends your tax dollars, my tax dollars. That senator removed the transparency bill from the uncontested calendar, essentially bending to corporate greed. The senator will tell you he probably had other reasons, but make no mistake, he will be unmasked. This session, I've had the privilege of working with champions for public transparency like Representative Capriglione, Senator Kirk Watson. Texas has a long history of being a leader in public transparency, but I'm afraid that is no longer the case. What will we do to prevent another sharp sound? Chapter 552 again states, the people in delegating authority do not give their public servants the right to decide what is not and what is good for them to know. Yet in this chamber and across the hall in the Senate, members conspire to keep contracts between government corporations secret and the people in the dark. Some say ignorance is bliss. I say information is power. I stand here before you, standing not only for Texans but all Americans, and I implore you, members, if you don't have the spine to stand for transparency, you don't stand for the fundamental principles that make us Texas and make us one of the greatest nations in the world. It's my understanding Senator Swartner is an orthopedic surgeon, which is ironic because he lacks a spine.